Truck driver butthurt because I parked in front of him. I was looking for a spot to park in a small downtown area by the shop I wanted to go to. There was a space right out front, so I parallel parked. Well, the guy in the massive pickup truck parked behind me immediately honked at me. I was busy grabbing coins for the meter and I couldn't initially tell it was directed at me. He then dramatically spent a full minute trying to pull out of the spot, backing up, turning his wheels over and over. He finally got out and pulled up alongside me. He rolled down his window, but because his car was twice the height of mine I couldn't even see him, and yelled park right next time, then peeled about 100 feet, where he had to abruptly stop at an intersection. I got out of my car and double-checked to confirm I was easily within the designated boundaries of my parking space. Maybe don't park your massive truck in a small space if you don't know how to handle it. As my friend would say, looks like your vehicle is larger than your skill set. Small town energy. That's why pickup trucks shouldn't be taken into cities. Them be country vehicles. You should have told him to add parking his truck to the list of things he shouldn't try in a small town. Don't drive it if you can't park it. I just said this at a farmer's market when someone in a Ram 2500 decided they wanted a spot up front, rather than near the back where there was room. Maybe he should learn to park parallel. Stuff every European student driver has to master. That's why I loved my small French two-seater convertible. It was easy to drive. Frugal. I saw a lot even with a closed hard top. Had a luxurious interior and was fucking easy to park. Except for the missing cruise control. But who need cruise control when you drive on European country roads? And of course to blame is that gas-guzzling small mental dick enhancers he euphemistically call his truck. The bigger the truck, the more fragile the ego. I had a guy in a lifted truck with spacers and wide tires on the wheels tell at me for taking the only spot he could fit in. I took a normal spot that also had a spot open next to it. He was mad I didn't leave him 2 spots. As soon as I read guy in the massive pickup truck, I knew how this was going down. There are 2 types of guys who drive massive pickups: one, those who actually need them and understand that they are driving an absolute unit of a vehicle and need to give others the space they need to drive. And 2, those who use these as tiny peen substitutes, and how dare you cock block them. I hate a man in a pickup truck. IDKY. Maybe it's because I work in a country bar and it's always the most annoying MFs that drive big ass trucks. Just know that whenever you see a pickup truck speeding and tailgating multiple people, it's because the driver is in a rush to go home and kiss his dad. Maybe don't park your massive truck in a small space if you don't know how to handle it. He could also have got out of the truck and approached you and said, "Hey, I'm sorry, but I seem to have chosen an overly small space and to be parked in. Would you be so kind as to move for a moment to let me out?" Instead of being a jerk about it. His tiny penis was insulted. The entitlement from many pickup truck drivers is astounding. They're as bad as BMW Tesla drivers. Oh God. I just saw a big black truck sideways blocking 3 parking spaces at a gas station today. I swear to some people a big truck is a penis extension. There's 2 types of people with pickups. People who need a pickup for hauling things and people with small dick energy. I have a big long truck. I tow. So I need it. I park way TF out in parking lots because it's usually longer than a single space. And I have to encroach on the spot in front of me. A small town in Europe saw an uptick in men purchasing unnecessarily large pickups for no practical reason. The town infrastructure couldn't support the parking. It had many secondary effects within the town: less parking, damage to local signage, people parking on grass, increase in fatal accidents, etc. They brought in a sociologist to study why and what could be done. In the end, they discovered free prescriptions to Viagra and a discreet media campaign to reassure men what the average size penises actually was. Practically eliminated all oversized pickup truck sales to everyone except actual farmers and ranchers. Yet another dipshit that can't drive the giant truck they bought. They are everywhere. This is the result of someone driving a little dick truck. Never underestimate the powers someone believes they have because their vehicle is large. Sometimes I feel like people who drive pickups feel extra entitled. My sister drives one now and she told me that in Texas people generally always get out of the way of pickup trucks on the interstate because it's common courtesy. I've never lost so many brain cells from one sentence. No one vehicle takes precedence over another. Unless it's a semi or something, then you gotta give them space to turn. And obviously the emergency vehicles and such. If you have to do an 1100-point turn, the car you are driving is too big for you to handle. I just had a guy lay on his horn at me for being parked close to him. I was parked close to him because he was over the line and parked badly. I was within the lines of the spot I went into. But he was raging so hard out his window at me that I moved to another spot because I didn't know what that rage was going to escalate into. Anyway, what's wrong with people? We call them emotional support vehicles. Yeah, trucks over a certain size should be outright banned in the city. At least without some work permit. They're entirely unnecessary for any civilian. If a regular pickup truck can't get you what you need on the day-to-day, then you need a work permit. Otherwise leave that shit in the sticks. And pickup trucks just get bigger and bigger. I have a itty-bitty '02 Porsche Boxster that I paid like $9,000 for 3 years ago. That can carry groceries in the front and the back because it's a mid-engine car. It's nuts that people pay 6 times that amount to drive these monsters to get 3 sacks of groceries. When I see PPL with trucks like that and drive like that, I always say we get it. You're compensating for your small dick. But no need to endanger everyone around you just because you feel insecure about it. It's not the trucks that are a prob. I drive a dually and have zero issues parking anywhere. I'm always in the lines and never hang out. The trick is you back in everywhere and don't be a lazy fuck. Screw lifted trucks. That's what we call tiny dick syndrome. It's not your fault that is too much truck for him to handle. Sheesh, men are so sensitive. This is one of the many reasons why I drive a Fiat 500. I have zero issues parking. Not knowing how to drive his penis substitute is a him problem, not a you problem. The truck driver acts like he has a tiny dick. Compensation truck drivers are not known for being intellectually or emotionally sound people. Most city pickup truck drivers don't realize that they've got too much truck. So they tend to blame everybody else. How dare you get in his way and slow down his incredible manly big truck X200 BS. Big truck small penis. The visual of him trying to angrily peel out and stopping 10 seconds later is hilarious. Dude would have had an aneurysm trying to parallel park in the 70s and 80s. He thinks his truck is ain't seen nothin'. Modern pickups are basically buses. Fuck pickup drivers. He confronted you from the safety of his jacked up truck. Badass. One of the many reasons people and their lifestyle trucks annoy the shit out of me. Trucks like that don't haul cargo. They haul ego. If you can't drive it like you stole it, you shouldn't own it, lol. Not the asshole if they can't park it, don't drive it. I've said this for years: if you can't even handle parking your vehicle properly, you have absolutely no business driving it. Men with such fragile egos that require the use of a giant truck to convey them safely should be eligible for handicapped parking. These behemoths are everywhere. They shouldn't be allowed in car parking spaces. If you have to drive one of these compensation vehicles, park at the far end of the parking lot so as not to be a nuisance to those of us with regular-sized genitalia. What I always say: if you can't handle that big truck, then you shouldn't owe it. He's dumb. I drive a lifted pickup and can easily maneuver it in most spots, unless someone parks within a foot on both sides. But even then, I know I can get out if I'm patient. Pickup, not truck driver. There is a difference. He shouldn't be mad at you. I own a full-size pickup. It's just a fact that I will never drive my truck to certain places for fear of being trapped in a parking space. Don't you know that truck is an extension of his pee-pee? Try that in a small town. Pickup trucks need to be banned from cities. Spent a full minute trying to pull out of the spot, backing up, turning his wheels over and over. He finally got out. Thinking face, thinking face, thinking face, thinking face, thinking face. Wait, you tried that shit in a small town? Tisk tisk. If your rear bumper was fully in your space, i.e. in front of the meter post, that guy can get FKD. If not, if your rear bumper was behind the meter, then park right next time. He probably couldn't judge distance because his dick was too big. Yeah, he was angry because you boxed him in. That isn't entitlement. That was justified, and you were selfish and inconsiderate. The size of people's vehicles is a separate topic. Need more context here. Were you in the middle of the space? Or towards the rear? All the way next to the curb? Or towards the road? I love trucks. Yes, my dong is huge. The worst parking job I've seen was a 50-ish yo hippie driving a Prius in Fayetteville, NY. I was driving an F-150. 7 months pregnant. This douche canoe had 4 gas pumps blocked because he was too stupid and/or entitled to only use one. My pregnant ass scooched in and he was big mad when he couldn't get in his car. I barely squeezed in and out, but he waited until I pumped a full 25 gallons in Clifford the Big Red truck. It's not always the larger vehicle. People just suck. Going against the grain here. If someone is complaining about a parking job, more than likely the parking job sucks. No one would yell at someone else about their parking unless they did it poorly. You're the asshole. He's actively trying to leave, and you just couldn't wait. Better go on the interwebs for some creative wording to get some attention. You're the asshole. Not the entire story here, I think. I think OP is a douche who intentionally parked within the lines. By also meanly too close. To me it sounds like you did a shit parallel parking job and parked so close you boxed the person behind you in when you probably could have pulled a foot forward. It doesn't matter what kind of car it is behind you if you park like that, you are the asshole. Lol. If he can't properly maneuver his pavement princess, he can drive something smaller. He's compensating for something. You all are probably too young for the Miller High Life. Time was. A man knew how to command his vehicle commercial. I hate a man in a pickup truck. IDKY. Maybe it's because I work in a country bar and it's always the most annoying MFs that drive big ass trucks. Just know that whenever you see a pickup truck speeding and tailgating multiple people, it's because the driver is in a rush to go home and kiss his dad on the lips. So because he couldn't parallel into the spot, He thinks you didn't park correctly, rolling on the floor, laughing, rolling on the floor, laughing, rolling on the floor, laughing. It's really too bad about his micropenis. People and their road rage SMH face with rolling eyes. I see people who can't drive a truck and park properly all the time. These people can't even handle their truck's tears of joy. People who drive massive trucks in situations others than a work or towing situation are almost always entitled assholes, clearly trying to compensate. He's probably just worn out and cranky from lugging his enormous penis around all day. That's one huge reason why I don't have a 4-door truck. I don't want the hassle of trying to navigate traffic, parking garages with one of those damn things. I love this i60F, have owned a F150 for years. I primarily drive it and am the sole driver when we're hauling our travel trailer. I've watched countless guys who have issues with parking, even driving pickup trucks, and I'm continuously amused by the men who congregate out of their RV rigs with their beers in hand to watch me park mine like I'm a carnival freak show. It's hilarious because apparently they think a woman is completely incapable of understanding the dynamics of parking a 31 feet rig in a tight space. Sounds like your parking nemesis was a lifted truck. Wonder what he was compensating for. LMAO. There was a study done years ago that showed women are better at parallel parking than men, because they can judge the distance better. Sorry about your penis. Big trucks and the people that can't drive them are forever the bane of my mid-sized city life. Laughter. The appropriate response for many fools. Sounds like a road princess. I have a big truck and a tiny car that gets great mileage, and I pre-plan if I have to go into a city so that I don't have to parallel park too often. But honestly, it's not hard to get out, even if it's tight. This guy just sounds dramatic. Probably screams at people if they don't wipe their shoes before they get in. Were you considerate and left him plenty of room to get out? I've gotta say, when I first read the title I was like, well, it's a truck and they're assholes to move in tight spaces. But then upon reading further I realized it wasn't an actual truck but a penis extension of a ute. Sounds like old mate had a dose of small man syndrome, rolling on the floor laughing. Just another toxic macho snowflake. Men as big trucks are assholes 9-10 times. Did the truck also have someone behind him? Maybe he was struggling to get out. Either way, road rage is a stupid way for him to go about it. White pickup perhaps? It's a meme in Texas. Big trucks don't make up for small wieners there, I said it. This sounds like a US problem, to my house brain. I had one guy honk at me at a petrol station. My pup had wiggled out of his harness and the guy didn't want to wait the 10-20 seconds I took getting my dog sorted and safe. Needless to say, I hurried, made a rude gesture, and then pulled let my car crawl since it's an auto. Every time I see some pretty jacked up 4x4 with a pristine body I automatically think douchebag. I know pickup trucks and car size in general has ballooned to fit the ballooning populace, but I was truly awestruck when a manly pickup king crew deerfucker 1,500,000 parked beside me in my Econo 4 banger and stuck out several feet from the parking spot. I can't wrap my head around why someone would want this as their daily driver. I never parallel park my truck. If I must, it's an end spot with extra room. I will always park way far away and walk for large spots. Easy in and out, and no inconvenience to others whenever possible. I also only drive the truck close to my house for errands, trash hauling, tailgating, and try not to take it where parking will suck. Sorry, that person was stupid and having a bad day and took it out on you. I hear karma calling. Can't drive the big truck, don't buy the big truck. I live in the city and my neighbor has an F-250. He parallel parks on our street. He's got no problems. Hell, in Missouri to get your CDL you have to parallel park an 18-wheeler. The guy in Ops story just can't drive or is an entitles prick and should stay home. Sounds like a person who needs 1.5 to 2 parking spots. They want big trucks to feel more powerful, but they don't fit in parking spots. So they are angry about it and take it out on others. Road rage. He was just in a hurry to get home and kiss his dad. Parking correctly in a parking spot? Try that in a small town. I drive a rather large SUV, not my choice. But it was $1,000. I just don't park in spaces like that. There are lots with lines to park it in. Or I walk or the wife drives her tiny little car. As someone who drives a big truck, it drives me crazy when other people can't drive their big trucks. Yeah, parking can be a challenge sometimes. But it's really not that hard. To me that just screams that he probably would have been able to get a sedan out of that spot. Either and or just pretends to be confident enough to drive a truck but is actually scared shitless. Because it's too big for him. TLDR, I did everything perfect and some asshole could not drive because of the size of his truck. And threw a tantrum. 90 of these stories are just daydreams. Jason Aldean would be proud. SDE. Okay lol. I hope any of y'all need a service that requires a truck. Can we make big truck shaming a thing now? It's amazing so many trucks are too large for normal parking slots. Trucks are by far the worst parking offenders. In my opinion. Because they are too freaking massive and can't see over the hood. You can't squeeze them downtown and good luck in the parking garages. Hate when you can't park in the spot because the tailgate or hitch is hanging out too far. Or when they back in and cover 80 of the sidewalk. They often take up 1.5 parking spots. Or maybe IDK you could have realized that someone was trying to leave and pulled your car forward for 39 seconds and then readjusted if you actually were parked correctly and not far back. Without pictures we only have one side of the story. Yours, and since you were so totally involved with yourself to the point you didn't even realize someone else was around, I'd wager the truck driver saw it totally differently. This is why you should NT compensate when you can't drive either. That's a situation where I love the phrase too much vehicle for you. Just ignore people who drive large trucks. They are almost inevitably just mad about their tiny peckers and looking for someone to take it out on. The lift kit on the truck tells me everything I need to know about them as a person. I have yet to meet a single dude with a lifted truck that isn't small town mentality and wanting to exude alpha energy. If I were putting coins in the meter and saw that the person parked behind me was struggling to get out of the parking space because his vehicle was large, I just might have hopped in my car and pulled up a few inches to help him out. Woman shrugging. Had a pickup truck park right up against my driveway for 8 hours while visiting a neighboring house. Couldn't see to get out from either direction without the possibility of getting hit. Put a very polite note on it to please be mindful for safety reasons, which he then later that night threw into the neighbor's yard. So sorry you were called out on your horrible parking. Learn the dimensions of your vehicle and don't be a D-bag next time he gets egged. Don't buy a truck if you don't know how to park it. Some of us need big-ass trucks. And it is our only vehicle. Can you not see that you might have been unreasonable? I always laugh at those guys in the giant trucks. I have yet to see one where the driver could actually maneuver it in a parking lot. It seems like the parking spaces are getting smaller and the vehicles are getting bigger. I own a big truck. AF 250 with full bed and full-size crew cab. It does not fit into normal parking spots. It is too long. I always make sure to park it toward the end of parking lots. And I never take it into the city. Because I know it's big and it's not worth the trouble to take it. I have people at my work park behind me and hit the hitch because it sticks into the spot behind me. Wouldn't matter if the guy was driving a golf cart, he'd be a dick. I bought a Ford Expedition. 3 months later decided to move to Seattle. It is almost exclusively parallel parking there. Even at apartment buildings. So I sold the SUV. I was not good at parallel parking, used the extra payout to fund my move. I ended up with a Jetta. Which is much easier to learn how to park. You would not believe the number of people who had to have big vehicles. But lived in cheap student housing. Also, no one stays or leaves their contact info if they ding your car. You did all the right things. The bigger the truck, the smaller the pecker. They are almost always overly macho dickheads that drive those. If you can't park a yee-yee truck, don't drive a yee-yee truck. Maybe don't park your massive truck in a small space if you don't know how to handle it. Person shrugging. Title of a sex tape. To truck driver, geez dude, sorry about your penis. I was given a big truck by a rental company because it's all they had. It was very difficult for me to drive, let alone park. I tried to be considerate and park far away so that I can easily park and pull away without hitting anyone or anything. To me, that is what someone should do if they have difficulty handling a big vehicle. I lived in a small apartment complex and my neighbor used to park his huge diesel engine Ford truck right outside my bedroom window. The only thing I ever saw in the bed of his truck were golf clubs. Seriously. I wanted to take his golf clubs and use his head as a tee when he would come home at 4 or 5 in the morning. BTW. We had assigned parking spots, but I would park my car as often as I could outside my bedroom window just so he couldn't. I feel like 99.99% of truck drivers drove like assholes, loudly crying. I drive a Tahoe LTZ 4x4. It's longer, wider, and sets higher than a regular Tahoe. I've always driven bug trucks and I drive for a living. I will never parallel park because my truck barely fits, and if someone parks in front behind me, it's near impossible to get out. All the little boy had to do was politely ask you to pull forward a little so he could get out. Easier, and I'm sure you would have. So you parked close to a big truck. And then, when he tapped his horn, since you didn't notice him, you sat there rather than move your car forward an inch. You are a hero. Sarcasm.